that is Tottenham's squad depth until January 2026. Are you happy with that? How are you feeling? How are you rating the transfer window as a whole? We're going to answer all of those questions from my perspective in that video. We're going to assess the transfer window. We're going to rate it. We're going to talk about Tottenham's spending. We're going to talk about how that compares to the other teams in the Premier League and whether we've done enough to close the gap on the teams that finished above us last season. But yes, the transfer window is shut, and thank God for that, to be honest. It's been an exhausting 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it is, 3 months. I don't even know how long it goes on for anymore. But welcome back to the channel. Sorry I couldn't do this video yesterday when the transfer window shut. I just had a mad busy day because I was filming the overlap up in Manchester. So thank you all to anyone that's gone and watched that so far. If you haven't, the link will be in the description. Go and show some love in the comments. It'd be massively appreciated. I've had loads of great feedback on it already, which is just great. And thank you guys so much for giving me the kind of platform to get the opportunities like this. Flav did me a solid, subbed me in for this one, and I really enjoyed it. It was amazing. There's another episode coming out later this week, so that's why I couldn't upload the video yesterday. When I got back, I was just absolutely knackered. But the transfer window obviously closed yesterday. Spurs did one bit of business on deadline day, which was bringing in Randal Kolo Muani. There will be a video on the channel tomorrow where we talk about Kolo Muani individually as a signing. I'll briefly give my thoughts on him in this video, but I'll talk more about what he can bring to Spurs in that next one, in a similar vein to the video that I made on Friday, talking about Xavi Simons. Now, Xavi Simons is a signing that I'm really excited about, and your guys' reaction to that video is something I was massively excited about as well. Thank you so much for showing the love on that. And also, one final thing before we actually get into the video, a little bit of housekeeping. We got to 15,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for that, honestly. Like, it's been a brilliant few months. Everything, like closing in on 100k on TikTok, like going on the overlap and all that kind of stuff, and being really well received on there, and just there's some really exciting things in the pipeline. And massive thank you to everyone who's kind of shown love to Daring and Doing as well, which is back and better than ever. We're really kind of determined to make that a big thing this season, stay consistent with it. And if you don't know what that is, that's my Tottenham podcast that I do with Will Hester, who you probably would have seen on Spurs Twitter. I love it. It's so fun. New episode out today. Make sure to go and watch that. But yeah, let's actually get into what we're here to do. So that is Tottenham's squad depth, right? The little red dots next to players are players that can cover multiple positions. So we've got Jed Spence there at left back. I'm also going to put a little red dot next to Archie Gray as well. So we've got Jed Spence, Archie Gray. Both of those can cover at right back, in my opinion. We've got Xavi Simons, who can cover out on the left wing. We've got Johnson, who can play left and right. Odegaard, who can play left and right. Tell, who can play left wing and up front. We've got Solanke. We've got Kolo Muani, who can play left wing and up front. We've got Kudus, who can play right wing, left wing 10. Kulusevski, right wing and 10 as well. That's a pretty good, pretty nicely balanced squad, in my opinion. Now, the final piece of the puzzle that I kind of really wanted Spurs to pursue in the last few days of the transfer window was that left winger. Ultimately, also, we're going to kind of answer the question whether Spurs have done enough, right, in this window. Because I feel like we always walk away from windows usually thinking, have we actually done enough? I don't think we've done everything we can, but I think we've done enough, and we've had a good window for sure. The last piece of the puzzle that I wanted was that left winger signing. Also, I think maybe another body in defence could have helped us, although I do think we're kind of coming into slight issues around European squad registration, but again, you could certainly swap players in and out. That's why it's kind of vital to have players who can also play in multiple positions. But I think that left wing is something that I really wanted Spurs to target in the remaining few days. Now, I do think Solanke's injury kind of complicated things, and we don't really know the full extent of it. So I think that probably pivoted Spurs' focus on deadline day to signing a number 9, and I think Kolo Muani is a really good fit. He can play out wide. I don't necessarily think we'll see loads of him playing out on that left wing, to be honest. I would just quite like Frank now to trust Odegaard and trust Tell, mainly Wilson Odegaard, to be honest, out on that left wing. We haven't spoken about the game against Bournemouth on Saturday. It wasn't good. Johnson wasn't good out there. Odegaard was better when he came on in the second half. I didn't just want to do a match breakdown just of that game, because what I want to do is I want to do a video which is going to come out on the channel later this week. So make sure to subscribe for that and like this video if you're enjoying it as well, where we kind of talk through like 5 things we've learned, or what we've learned from Frank's first 3 league games in charge. And I'm probably going to talk about the Super Cup as well. So I'm going to talk about the issues that we had against Bournemouth in that video. And one of them, I think, was Brennan Johnson, right? And I do think that is what really kind of hammered home the point about wanting and needing another left winger. That's kind of where most of the fan base were at after the game. My issue, to be honest, is more actually, as much as I wanted a left winger, I was desperate for Savinho, right? It became quite apparent in the last few weeks that wasn't going to happen. And if Spurs feel like maybe they can go back in for Savinho, or they feel like they didn't necessarily want to do a deal for Ademola Lookman for whatever reason, who I do think would have added goals to this team, proving European quality on the Champions League stage as well. I do think he was a great market opportunity for Spurs, but maybe they feel like they wanted to maybe do a loan, and Atalanta only wanted to sell, which is what was kind of rumoured. And Spurs felt they were kind of better off pocketing the money, saving the money, and putting that towards an actual winger target they feel like might move the needle for the long term. Potentially a Savinho, potentially someone like a Semenyo at some point down the line as well. So I can kind of respect them for that. But I do want to see Frank give more trust to Wilson Odobert. I do. Like, Tottenham's best 11 that you'd imagine right now, right? The back four kind of picks itself. You can split hairs over a Doggy or Spence at left back if you want, or if you want to play Spence at right back or whatever. It's one of these two in the pivot, Palhinha, Bentancur, Sarr or Bergvall in midfield, Simmons in that 10, Kudus on the right wing. Again, I think those are the two lockdown positions in that front four. It'd be interesting to see how quickly Kolo Muani can kind of come in and step up and make how much of an impact he can make. But that left wing is really up for grabs, in my opinion. Like I said, my bigger issue with the left wing situation is not necessarily Johnson himself, because I think Johnson can be a useful squad player over the course of the season. I don't think he should be our starting left winger, certainly not at games in games at home where you're... there were bigger issues than Brennan Johnson on Saturday, in my opinion, but whenever he got the ball, he didn't look comfortable on it, kind of treating it like a hot potato. You want someone out there who's happy to hold that width and stay on the ball for longer periods of time and look comfortable and take it under control and drive and beat players. And Johnson just doesn't... That's not his game. And my issue is Frank not using him... It's not necessarily not using him correctly. It's not using an option that I think would be better for games like what we saw against Bournemouth on Saturday. Fair enough playing Brennan Johnson in games like Man City. Against Burnley, I still didn't even really like it from the start, even though he got that goal in the second half when the game massively opened up. That's totally fair. But when you're looking to break teams down, the onus is on you at home to take the game to teams. And especially when you're kind of lacking that central progression with no natural number 10 in the team, I think it would have been better to have Odobert, someone that can kind of drop into central areas and help Spurs get the ball up the pitch. So now the fact that we haven't signed a left winger, I just want him to go and trust him. I just want him to go and trust Odobert, or like Tell, give them plenty of minutes, right? Because I think a lot of Spurs fans, and I totally understand it, like if you don't think Odobert's the answer, don't think Tell's the answer. I think most Spurs fans were pretty excited to see what Frank could do with those two. And as much as we've heard Frank kind of come out and talk about the fact that he loves Wilson Odobert and all this kind of stuff, I don't understand why Brennan Johnson is, over the first 3 games, has kind of consistently started games on the left-hand side. Kind of digressed a little bit, but my point is more that if they opted not to sign a left winger, which I can understand and respect, even though I think they were clearly looking to do so, I can respect it from the point of view that the one that they really wanted wasn't attainable, so there's no point maybe wasting the money to block a space where they feel like they could go and make a big signing further down the line. Totally understand that. Now, going back, the young left wingers that we've actually got that I think can make an impact, especially Odobert now, you've got Kudus and Simmons in that front line. That's kind of proven quality. Obviously, Simmons is going to be sort of an adjusting period, but I think with the technical quality in that front line, and the fact that Simmons and Kudus, with their kind of pedigree and prowess and what they bring to the pitch, will require more attention from defenders. Like you saw it on Saturday against Bournemouth, right? Kudus was getting doubled up on consistently. He kind of had about 20-25 minutes spell in that second half where he was really able to kind of get into the game and get into his groove and cause Trough problems. But they doubled up on him a lot. Happy to leave Brennan Johnson 1v1 against the fullback loads. If that was Wilson Odobert, you feel like he's making more of the most of those opportunities. And that did happen in the second half. Odobert was better, right? So I want to see that more in games where you've got players like Simmons and Kudus who are going to require a lot more attention. It doesn't put so much pressure on Odobert to kind of come into that front line now and be the guy. Because I feel like I was clamouring for Wilson Odobert to get a run in the team last season under Ange, because we were crying out for that winger that could be direct, dribble 1v1, take players on, right? But because there was quite a lot of pressure on him to do that, because he was kind of the only profile that we had really in that front line at the time. Like Johnson was playing consistently on the right when Kulusevski was injured. Maddison kind of in and out the team through the injuries as well. Like there was a lot of pressure on Odobert to come in and kind of be the guy, to be that creative spark and that force in that attack, give us something different that we were clearly missing. Now there's not so much that pressure. Like I kind of just want to see him be trusted and get that opportunity. So I can understand them not signing a left winger, but That's kind of the issue that I'm having with Thomas Frank at the moment, just with that. So trust him, do it. Show us why he didn't sign one. At the back, like I said, another left-sided defender I think would have been good. I do think it would have been good, and the more I think about it, maybe that is something that we kind of should have prioritised. There were deals for maybe Akanji or Ake. Like, how much football should Ben Davies be playing? Will Ben Davies be in the Champions League squad? We'll see. You'll probably know by the time this video's out if you're watching it tomorrow. I think Spurs, the deadline to register it is tonight. I'm not sure whether we've seen anything with that anyway. There's decent cover at centre-back. There is Dragson coming back. Takai looks like he's sticking around. I imagine Takai might go on loan in January. Spurs might look to bring in another defender there. So there's still work that can kind of be done. I do think Paulinho, good signing, really smart signing. Maybe that lack of ball progression in midfield is something that could hurt us, but I think having a natural number 10 in there now with Simmons, I think he can kind of help and drop deep and link play. So I'm not as worried about that. And I think in other areas, the squad kind of does look healthy. It's just the left winger and the defender, which is probably the things that we didn't do. But I think it's an ambitious window. I do think it is. I think it's a positive one for Spurs. The issue kind of with being as ambitious as Spurs, to their credit, have been with some of their targets, like Simmons, Kudus, Eze, Gibbs White, etc. Certainly in those attacking players, you're looking at a different echelon of kind of players that we've been looking at, or deals that we haven't been able to get over the line in the last kind of few windows. So naturally, when you kind of make that step up from the shops that you're shopping into the shops that those players sit in, there are complications with other clubs coming in, Eze, Arsenal, all that kind of stuff. But you can kind of respect the ambition, and they have improved. Ultimately, the squad is in a better place, right? I still have issues with the kind of the process, and I still think we're too slow sometimes to really put our foot down on deals, and I think that cost us with Eze, regardless of the Arsenal thing. I do think it did. If we'd have maybe moved quicker on that and been more aggressive, that is one we could have got done. But I do think Eze, forget him, right? As a player, because I think Simmons is an amazing signing. I really, really do. But it's more about the process. It's not what we've ended up with, because I think what we've ended up with is pretty good. But I think that kind of lack of aggressiveness on some of these deals sometimes, when you look at how quickly other clubs get business done, is a slight concern to me. I mean, it's been a concern for a while. I still think it's a good window though. Kalamawani in, Paulinho in, Takai in, Danso permanent, Tel permanent, Kudus, Simmons. It's good. Outgoings, I think we've pretty much got rid of everyone that we wanted to. Solomon would have been nice to get a sale and get some money for that. Brian Hill gone permanently now. Højbjerg gone, money for him. All of the youngsters that I think needed minutes pretty much have got them. You know, Mikey Moore, that loan might not work out at Rangers. I mean, they're a bit of a basket case at the moment. I know he started in that first game in the Old Firm, which was good. Or started in the game at the Old Firm at the weekend, which is good. But I think most of the youngsters that needed minutes, needed loans, like Yang, good loan to Pompey. Devine, good loan to Preston. Vuskovic, really good loan that for Hamburg for me. He needs to be playing. Solomon, loan. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So when you look at how much Tottenham have spent, right? So Tottenham are the, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ninth biggest spenders with £171 million spent. Records kind of broken in the Premier League again for the amount of money that's been spent. Forest spent more than us. Sunderland spent more than us. Man City have spent more than us. United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool just kind of dwarfing everyone. When you look at the sales, Tottenham are right down the bottom. Only £17 million recouped in the transfer fee. Heung-min Son, the only permanent sale. Obviously, you'd imagine I haven't included Yves Bissouma in this squad. You'd imagine Yves Bissouma will go in the what is remaining of the other windows in Europe. Turkey, I'm looking at. I know there were issues with his fitness and medical, apparently, maybe at Fenerbahce. Was it Fenerbahce or Galatasaray? I can't even remember. But you'd imagine Spurs will recoup a little bit of money for him. I think he will go. I don't think there's any plans for him to kind of stay. I don't necessarily think we needed to sell loads of players, to be honest. Like, obviously, the bulk of that is Son. We've got like 6 million odd for Brian Hill. So it was not like we needed massively to kind of really rejig the squad. I think it was just about adding that quality, because that squad is nowhere near 17th in the league, right? But if you look at the net spend, Spurs are 4th with 154 million pounds spent, and that is only bettered by United, Liverpool and Arsenal in terms of net spend. Arsenal the biggest net spenders, lots of pressure, €1 billion since the last trophy. So Spurs have, we've been ambitious, right? We have gone out and we've spent big. We have backed the manager. Kudus was a signing that he wanted. Simmons obviously wasn't necessarily the first choice, but we've definitely gone and got him, which I think improves the squad. Address the issue in midfield and up front as well, which was more of a reactive one. So have we done enough by spending £154 million net to, when you look at the table from last year, right? Spurs all the way down here in 17th. Now, historically, the clubs that you would imagine Spurs would be challenging, well, Spurs want to get back in the Champions League, right, by qualifying through the league rather than winning the Europa League. So we want to be finishing in the top 5. So based on tradition and history, the other clubs that would be in that conversation would be Newcastle, Villa, Manchester United. The clubs in more recent history that will be also in that conversation will be Brighton, Forest, Bournemouth. Everton have done some good business this window. Have Tottenham done enough when you look at the other business that Newcastle, Villa have done, Forest have done, Brighton have done, Bournemouth have done, Manchester United have done? Have we done enough to jump back from here? Even though I think this is still a bit of a false position in terms of where Spurs are actually really at. Not a false position on how bad we were last season, but in terms of where we're actually at. To get back to here and leapfrog mainly these two, to be honest, because I'm not worried about Man United. I'm worried about these two. I think we have. Now, I think obviously Newcastle have kind of been unsettled a bit this window. They've spent more money than us, but they've also recouped, what was it? A record fee, £125 million. Their net spend is only £100 million. They brought in Voltemada, who is an unknown quantity in the Premier League, who I'm actually quite excited about. Wissa as well, Jacob Ramsey. They kind of bolstered the squad a little bit. I don't think... I'm not massively convinced they're in a better place. Elanga I like, but how much is he really going to move the needle? And then Villa, I look at them and I think getting Champions League really hamstrung them. If you look at their spending, they were the lowest spenders with £28 million. Harvey Elliott, loan with an obligation to buy. I think it's good business. Jadon Sancho, not having it, to be honest. Gesson, yeah, okay. But I just feel like it's going a little bit stale at Villa. So I would say, and Man United, they've spent big money on Cunha and Bumo, Sesko, but I just think there's much bigger issues there actually in terms of the coaching and the system. So I think Spurs, all in all, are probably in quite a good place to say that to confidently say that we will at least be challenging, I think, those teams for the Champions League spaces. I do think that. Could Spurs have done more? Yes. Have Spurs done everything that they maybe needed to do? No. Is it still a good window? Yes. And have we been ambitious enough? I think we've been ambitious. I do think we have, and I think you can have worries and questions about the processes, but I think if you just said that at the start of the window that we would have brought in Xavi Simons, Randall Colomwani, Mohamed Kudus, and João Palhinha, I think most Spurs fans would have taken that. And one signing that can't be overlooked is the manager for me, but also Christian Romero. Getting him to commit his long-term future to the club is as good as a new signing in my opinion. So I would probably rate it 7.5 overall. I think a winger would have pushed it to like a 9, but I also can understand why they didn't do it, and maybe they will be back for Savinho at some point, but that remains to be seen. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Once again, massive thank you for all of your support. 15k subscribers, overlap, nearly 100k on TikTok. Make sure to go and follow. Like if a few thousand of you can watch this and go and follow, that could make a real difference to me. It's just Ben Bowman. The link's in the description. I'm really close. So if you're an avid watcher of this channel and you're not subscribed, please do and go and follow over there as well, and go and watch this and show some love in the comments. Go and show some love to Darren and Doing as well. New episode out now. Love you guys. All the best. Up the Spurs.